go ahead and get started. So, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. And we are very happy today to be hosting the session on What's Your Brand Story as part of the Future of Work Conference. And through the UCLA Career Center. And I'm Jessica Oviedo. I actually work for UCLA Extension and the Managed Career Services over there. But we were really happy to partner with the main campus Career Center on today's session. And with me today, I have Shirin Raban, who is a UCLA Extension instructor in our visual arts and design communication arts department. And with that, I will leave it over to Shirin.
Hello, everyone. Hi, it's so nice to be here. It's an honor and privilege to be having these partnerships and collaborations. I am very excited to see you, very excited to share some thoughts on what's your brand story and see if you could get you guys excited and energized to move on and write up your own. Um, I am, as Jessica said, instructor at Design Communication Arts at UCL Extension. I've been here for, I think, just about 13 years, and I teach history and practice of graphic design, which includes branding, packaging, graphic design, design to I also teach at Cal State Northridge, so I bring also what I learned by teaching the art in the art department. Um, I've been a packaging branding designer for many years. I've worked on a lot of different types of industries, including food and beverage and toys. Um, and I did go back to grad school in about maybe, when was it, 2013. I went to USC to study visual anthropology. So now my focus has changed in terms of my practice, and I am I'm creating documentary films, and I'm on my third one. So with that, I've been taking a ton of classes at UCL Extension, and now I'm taking film classes, which means that I am bringing a lot of ideas about distribution, marketing, and understanding your audience and all that, and basically putting together what I know from film and design in terms of brands and brand stories and bringing something to you today. So I'm going to share my screen with you to show you a visual present. Oh, let's see. Yeah, the visual presentation. Let me go full screen and see if this works. Okay, you can see this? Great. So let's go and see what's going on. You know, you go out there in the world, and I think writing a brand story is really difficult. It's like having all these little brand stories out there and all these things that we do, and which one do we talk about, and how do we get there, and where do we begin, and where does it go? And for me, that's how it feels that it was for a few years. And I really went around and tried different things. And I think right now I've tried to kind of capture them and put them together in a more manageable understanding. I felt like it was finding a diamond in that rough area of so much charcoal. And so let's look into some solutions. Um, I think I want to share with you one of my brand stories that I created for this class, as you being my audience, me being the teacher of this class. And this is my little brand story. I am a design educator who creates visual stories through experimental typography, handmade books, puppets, and documentary films. This is a complex one. It shows that I do a bunch of stuff, and to teach, I can bring all that knowledge to you. Now I want you guys to go to Padlet, and I'm going to explain this to you. Because we have a very large audience in here, it's not possible to speak with everybody, so I'm going to do the communication through Padlet and through chat. If you have questions for me, please make sure you put the questions in, type it in chat, and Jessica will kindly relay those to me. And in terms of Padlet, this is going online, and Jessica will add that link to the chat forum right now. And you can just click on it and you will go to this space that we will meet outside of Zoom. We will go and I'm asking you a question. What do you do? And if you can put in here, what do you do, or what did you do and where you want to go? Why are you here, basically, in this class? I would love to get a gauge about what's going on so that you also have a little bit of interaction in here within a large group of students. So I am going to get out of my full screen mode, and I'll go into Padlet. Can you guys see this, my Padlet?
Yes. And I
Okay.
put the Padlet link in the chat.
Okay, so if everybody could click on that Padlet, and then miraculously, you will have your whatever you want to say to us about what you do and why you're here in these little pop-up notes, and I'm excited to read them. And you can put your name in there, or you can just say be anonymous. I am an interior designer. Okay, let's see what's going on in here. I'm an interior designer at UCL. Oh, wait, they keep moving. So maybe I should just wait for them to come in and then read them. Um,
Right.
okay, I'm an admin with the Career Center, but have, I have to wait. This is too exciting. That's great.
Yeah, and for those of you, if you're still curious, just hit that little plus button on the bottom to add your comment.
Oh, that's right. There's a button on the right-hand side on the bottom. It's pink and it has a plus sign. Okay, I'm going to start reading. I'm an educator, admin with Career Center, but have been graphic designing since 1996. I'm an interior designer. I'm a design operations specialist, UX certification in process. I am a digital film director and entrepreneur of a digital rights. I am a curious creative specializing in event planning, I'm assuming. I am an aspiring physician. I am a career and life coach who generates and presents content to inspire others to live with passion and purpose. I am a digital film director and entrepreneur of a digital rights company. I read that already. I'm interested in design and branding, specifically creating new content that's innovative. Let's see, that's innovative. I lost it. I'm interested in design and branding, specifically creating new content that's innovative and appealing to Generation Z. Admin with the Career Center UX. I am a curious. I am. I think I read a lot of them. I am career engagement educator at UCLA, working with STEM students. I honestly think that you guys are doing really well already, writing your brand stories here for us, and I love that, because I think sometimes when we want to do something, we kind of get lost. But if we're talking to someone, to another person, somehow it just comes out nicely. It just works. And I think that's one of the main secrets that you just figured out in here to speak. To speak. Is it in typing? Is it in talking? Is it recording on your phone device? Um, I am a creator who wants to enter the intersection of experiential marketing and graphic design. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. So I'm going to keep these. So maybe we come back to them also later. But let me now go back to the presentation and see where this is going to take us. Beautiful. All right, so I'm going to share a little personal story with you that is about when I was cooking and I ran out of eggs and I needed eggs, so I ran to Ralph's. And when I was standing in line, I saw this little magazine in the corner bottom, and as I'm looking at it, I'm like really attracted to it. And I don't know, something about it being so serene and soft, maybe with those earth colors. And I think I read this tagline because my glasses actually is pretty good. It reads well from far away. And it said, making space for rest that restores us. And that was like, yeah, I need that. I need that. And then I opened it. And everything I see is exactly what I want. These beautiful paintings. I really want to sit home and make these paintings. Oh my gosh, I love this food. This looks good. This visual. It says rich in flavor, rich in creativity. Yeah, this is about creativity. Oh, finding our rest. Yes, that's for me. I want to find my rest. Oh, making bread. Oh, I love that. Making tea. I was sold. I was sold, and I bought it with my eggs, and I loved it because it had a really good brand story. The brand story was actually solving my problem. And you can tell by now my problem was that I was overworked. I was physically and mentally exhausted, even in cooking this thing that I didn't even know. I was rushing and cooking it on a whim, and I had to run to Ralph's. I just needed calm. And I bought it because it was bringing that calm to me. And I think that really is, it was solving my problem also in another way, because I was able to make this introduction for this lecture for you. So that was also solving the problem of, how am I going to start speaking about brand story to my students? And I thought, it's great. It's great because it's about solving a problem. Now I want to play a game with you. Let's go again to Padlet. And before we go, I want you to look at the names of these famous people. And it's not like I'm not star-stricken and I don't think you should be like famous or anything to have a good brand story, not at all. In fact, I think people who are not famous need to have a brand story. But I think it's nice because probably all of you know at least one or two or maybe all of these people, and you kind of know why they are memorable. So if you can share with us on Padlet and tell us why do you think one of these people is memorable? What's so special about them? I would go back to Padlet and meet you right there. Ooh, in cyberspace. I'm excited. All right, let's see. You can make a new new ones and tell us. Lady Gaga, someone is saying. Lady G is absolutely unafraid of her visual. Let's see. She's absolutely unafraid of her image.
Just popping in to say, those of you who joined a little late, if you want to add to the Padlet at the bottom, let me repost the link, and then, I'm sorry. Apologies for interrupting here. I'm just reposting the link to everybody, and then to add to the content, you hit the little plus sign at the bottom.
Great, thank you so much. So they say Opara, very charismatic and composed. Okay, this is good. She's charismatic. So you're talking about her personality. So that's something to keep in mind about your brand story. Duchess of Cambridge, it says. They are unapologetically themselves. Ooh, I like that. She doesn't scare. Steve Harvey, Da Vinci, creative and productive, artist and engineer. See, he was doing two things, artist and engineer, easy as that. Opara is inspiring and does a lot of empowering talks and famous for her giveaways. Okay, let's see what else people are saying. They said also that she's herself. Authentic, confident in their craft and their and what is it? I lost it. Okay. I where am I? Does a lot of empowering giveaways. They hold their vision and live from their passion. I love that. So what is your passion? Write it down. Write down your passion. Write down what you care about. They are unapologetically themselves. Elon Musk, high goals and practical methods to achieve them. So it talks about there's a problem and there's a solution. This is how he's writing, this person is writing. Marianne Mirza Khani, yes, she was the amazing mathematician that unfortunately we lost her. First female to receive the Fields Medal, math equivalent to Nobel Prize. So she also was herself. She, focused on exactly. But then you can also say, like, what is it exactly that she did? And you say in here, she received this Field Medal. So that's her achievement. And then what she did was being a mathematician. And then we have, they are successful designers. Okay, great. It's inspiring. Wonderful. Now let's go back to our presentation in here. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see that you are all inspired and you are attacking the situation from different aspects. So what I would want to say is that the way I want to approach writing a brand story is really, I'm a visual branding designer. So, of course, there's a lot to do with the visual branding and all that. But everybody who's here is not necessarily a designer or in a creative career. Although I do think that every career has some creativity to it, because anytime you have a problem that you solve, that problem needs to, to use some creativity in your brain to solve that. And so, in my opinion, when you want to write your brand story, first and foremost, you're writing it because you want to talk to someone, you want to tell something about you. And if you know who that person is, and I say that person because at the end of the day, there's always one person at that end of that line who will make that decision. Even if it's in a committee, maybe you could say that committee is a person. That person is your audience, the person who wants to hear about you. There's a need and there's a value. And all of that together brings the brand story. To articulate that a little bit better, I will say to you, and please feel free to take screenshots of these, because I think that that'll help. I have other slides too that has questions and things, and I think that'll help for you to hold on to it and later go back and do the exercises in good time. But please feel free to write notes and make your doodles and put your inspirations for yourself, because I think this is a good time to do that. So to articulate this, I would say that the audience is those people, or is that person who is looking to find someone to solve their problem. And the need or the solution, the problem and the solution that comes to fix that problem is something that if you who is listening to me, if you can solve that problem, then they will give you a benefit of some source. Like maybe they hire you, they give you money, they maybe they give you an award, they will honor you. There's something in it for you. when you solve that problem. And that's the kind of interaction you have. And that's why you write a brand story. Because otherwise, you're walking in the world and you are being yourself and you're doing whatever you do, and that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is actually wonderful. You do what you want. But if you wanted to connect with other people and get them to help you get to where you want to get, you really want to show them those specific skills you have, and those amazing things you've done. So there's really like two things that you want to convey to people, that you want something from them, or you want some kind of a mutual professional relationship, that you want to show them, this is my position or these are my skills that I have, whichever way that will put you in that mindset for them to kind of understand even where to begin. And then to tell them like what is something amazing. Like Marianne, she's a mathematician and she got that prize. So that already puts her in a frame of some very specific space that is only belonging to her. And it's always going to be belonging to her, even now that she's not with us. That's her brand story. And I'm going to explain, I'm going to give you a little bit of a example of myself. I told you before that, I'm the kind of creative person who shifts around and, changes her practice. I was doing packaging for about 15 years. And then when I went to teach, I was still doing packaging, but I added this teaching of packaging, which turned into teaching of design and teaching of branding and logos. And then when I went to grad school, my teaching evolved into also teaching history, and then it evolved to making films and making illustrations. So you can see that I'm doing a bunch of stuff, and I've done a bit of shifting. And for that, I would say that I would have a whole bunch of brand stories. Each one of them is in my back pocket, and then I'll have to pick that out and then use this for this audience or use that for that audience, depending what it is I'm looking for. So going to that same formula of the audience needs solution and your added value, if this was about something I was looking for, and you can look at that in terms of you and take your own notes right now. If I were looking for a job, meaning like a position, let's say I was looking for a design position, that's the need, because somebody has a design position that needs to be filled. So I should be going and filling that position. Then I will be explaining to them that, guess what, I'm a package designer. I've worked at Mattel, I've done this stuff, or I'm a package designer, I've worked with Corbel Champagne, blah blah blah. But you could pick one to make it very specific. And this is your short brand story. Of course, you can have the medium, and then you can have the large. And when you have that, then maybe the short one will be the beginning or your main sentence, and then you elaborate on that, and then you add other stuff to make it a more interesting story that will speak to that person. And in a way, you want to be like an attorney. You want to have a pitch. You want to be convincing them that, what, I'm the person, and I need to get it, not other people. It's for me. And why am I special? Because I bring this value to you. So if I wanted to get a client instead of getting a job, then maybe I wanted to have a creative project. They have a creative project that somebody needs to take care of it. That's their problem. They need that. And I will solve that by telling them that, what, I'm an illustrator and I've done a book cover for this person, or for this specific book. If it's a gallery that I wanted to maybe put my artwork in it, I did a bunch of illustrated, like 24 illustrations for my film. And I put that in the Cal State Northridge faculty gallery. So maybe if I wanted another exhibition, then I will say that, guess what, I'm an illustrator for films, and I have already exhibited at Cal State Northridge, and I'm looking for another exhibition. If I wanted to teach at a university, then I would say, oh, you know what, I teach history of design and practice of design, and my research is in this area. Or if I wanted to, for this film that I'm making, I wanted people to pay, or I wanted people to come and watch it, then I would need fundraising. I need viewing. Then I would tell them, you know what, I have a master's in visual anthropology, and thesis film got an award, and it's about this topic, and so forth. And you see that each one of these would be different. So with that said, I want to go back to the internet, not to Padlet, but I want to go to internet and show you examples. I'm sorry if there's a little bit of background noise. I wanted to share some examples with you of simple brand story, or for somebody who has a career shift, or somebody who has a complex practice. And I can tell you that the reason I shared my own example with you, because I can tell you that for me, sometimes it's very simple, sometimes it's a career shift, and sometimes it's that complexity, depending what I showed you. And I want you to pay attention to those examples and to write in your own notes for yourself, which one are you? Are you the simple one? Are you the career shift? Are you the complex one? Are you two of them? Are you all of them? And I think that sort of understanding really makes it easier for you to write, because sometimes we want to write all these things. I have done it. I want to write all these things that I am, all these things I have done. And then it just gets so heavy. And it becomes hard for people to understand how you're going to solve their problem and what type of value you're going to bring it that only speaks to their problem. Do you have any questions so far before we go to examples? Okay, so let's go to the internet world out there. There we go. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let me bring some students in here so I can see you also. So you know H&R Block? Now I always thought like they have a really simple logo. It's just a simple green. So I was using this to teach my branding students in the graphic design class that this is a good logo because it's a block and it's on the corner of every block, and it's stable because it's a square, and it's green because it's a color of money, and all that. But speaking to anybody who wants to know about a simple brand story, I can tell you that if you look into right up here in the navigation bar, it says taxes, finances, small business. That's the brand story, because H&R Block does taxes and finances for small businesses. That's it. That's it. And it's a simple one. It's not simplistic, but it's simply telling you very easily, if you have a problem and you need your taxes done and you're a small business and you don't know what to do, go to H&R Block. They'll take care of you. Easy. They make it easy for you. And in here it says, we've helped millions of small business owners and self-employed people do more of what they love by doing what we do best. But this is the brand story. It says, our small business certified tax pros specialize in taxes, and we guarantee 100% accuracy. But honestly, like if someone from H&R Block was in an elevator and somebody else says like, hey, what do you do? Then that person will say, oh, we do taxes and finances for small businesses. That's it. That's what they will say. So you should be able to say it in such a clear and easy way. And believe me, like I showed you that picture of the diamond in the rough. It's not that easy to say it that simple and clean and fast. It is easy to say it about other people because other people took a long time to edit. Kind of like in a film, you have to just like edit, and get rid of the stuff and the noise. You will find that gem, and that will be your brand story. Let me give you another example. This one is Mike Diamond Plumbers. Every time my husband drives my car and then he changes to KNX 1070, I turn it on and it says, Mike Diamond, the smell good, your smell good plumber. And I'm thinking like, why do they keep saying smell good plumber? Why do you guys think? Do you want to put in the chat and tell me why do you think this works as Mike Diamond? What do they even do? What is it that they are so successful now and they can afford to put all this money in ads in the radio that says, the smell good plumber? What is it that like they charge $100 just to come to your house, and maybe anybody else would charge $50, but why are you willing to pay them? Any answers for me there?
I don't see anything so far.
Answers, okay. Do you want me to tell you the answers? You don't want to collaborate with me?
Oh, here we go. Someone says good smell means clean and tidy. Or maybe the people they send into your house always smell good instead of like what you would think a plumber smells like. Or
Exactly.
that they look professional.
Yeah, because what is plumbing like? Mike Diamonds is not going to come and change your entire like plumbing, at least not right away. Maybe they will, but what they are advertising themselves is for the little jobs. So like if you wake up one morning and all of a sudden your bathtub is like horribly filled with stuff, or the toilet is not working and you can't go to work, like it's a nuisance to your life. And so you need instant gratification. You don't have time to call people up and say, hey, do you know a cheap plumber? Or it's the smell and it's horrible and you just need it to go away. So because they have this instant gratification, they're just telling you, guess what? It's going to actually smell good. If I come over there, everything is going to smell good. You're going to be fine. I'll take care of you. They are saying that I will deal with your problems. You should be just give me $100, So that's it. That's a very easy and clean brand story for you. Let's see another one. Okay, this one I thought it was kind of cool because these guys are really old now. But when I was like maybe 25 years ago, or even after long time ago, maybe even 30 years ago, I was out of college or I was in college and I was watching TV, and there was always Larry Parker. I am Larry Parker. I'm gonna fight for you. I'm gonna fight for you. And he will have this face, and he says, and then he would say, car accidents, I'll take care of you. I'll get you a lot of money. It's like everybody knows it's Larry Parker. And why don't you go to that Emrani guy? Or maybe if you listen to Persian radio, then you want to go to Yadidi guy. But maybe you don't listen to Persian radio, so you're going to go to this guy. And how does he bring your value? First, he tells you his brand story. What does it say? It says available 7 days a week. It says auto accidents, #1 injury law firm in Southern California. Nobody will fight harder for you. Nobody. This is it. This is the brand story. And then it says in here in the bullet points, as you see, it says over 40 years of experience, more than $2 billion won in settlements and verdicts, $100,000 clients served, 150 attorneys, paralegals, blah, blah, 90% success rate. So it's telling you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things more than what you put in your initial brand story. So your initial brand story is kind of like a hook. You're going to have a hook. You're gonna say something that people go like, oh, the smell good plumber, oh, the auto guy, it becomes memorable. Like Elon Musk, what is it? I don't know, the guy who wants to go to Mars, you know. You have a memory about them. They stick in your mind because they have a very clear solution to a problem. Here it is, another one. Fantastic Sam's. I mean, what is Fantastic Sam's? It's cut and color, right? It's cut and color. And that's the two things they do. They put two things together. Now it's not just auto accidents, but they cut and they do color. So this is a little bit of a mix, you know, a complex one. But again, they make it very simple. Why? Because it's about hair. It's only about doing hair. And there's two things they do, which is cut and color. And that is something maybe you are. You gotta kind of see, like, am I the Mike Diamond guy or am I the this one? You know, kind of see if you can identify with, even though maybe you're not a business or you're not a service or anything, but see what it is about themselves that they are projecting as a service or as a product or as a solution. And in here, I think also, you know, already, because there's so many of them, you know that maybe Fantastic Sounds was like, I don't know, $15. I don't know, maybe it's $25. Maybe it was $7 before. But it's still, you know, a lot cheaper than $75 or 65 or 150 or whatever that some other people are charging for hair and color and all that. So it positions itself. And of course the graphics will bring a tone, you know, to this service. But first we are working on the text. Here's another one, Mac Enthusiast. This one, they do three things. They do shop, rental, and repair, and it's all for your Mac, and sell. Yeah, so they do four things. Yeah, I mean, shop is like selling and buying. Buy and sell is called shop, and then renting, and then repairing. So it's like one place for, you know, the place to go, one all in one for your Macintosh. If you have any problems with your Mac, if you want to buy a Mac, if you need to rent one right now, whatever you need about your Mac, we take care of it for you. We are there, we take care of you. So they solve your Mac problems in a few different ways, and they easily tell you that. Now, this one is a student. This is one of my graphic design students at UCLA Extension, and I absolutely love her. You know, her name is Grace, and somehow her designs are also very graceful. So already the tone of her branding comes across just by the way she handles her pen or the drawing or even the typeface. Just the amount of negative space, her logo, everything. It's beautiful. And let's see what she says in her brand story. She says, Grace is a designer and artist, thoughtfully making physical and digital products and spaces and crafting mindful experiences, promoting well-being. So she's already telling us that she not only is a hands-on computer person, she's also a tactile person. With a background in social work, her creations and designs explore social justice and the aching beauty and heartbreak of the human experience. I think this is a complex one. And I think she's also shifting careers. So this is like, you know, she put it nicely. So someone comes to her website, they get an idea, they get a feeling for what she does. Maybe it gets them excited to go and see what she actually is doing, to look at the visual stuff she has. But if she was in an elevator and somebody didn't have, and she didn't have her cell phone with her to show her website to people, or people didn't have time, or they just wanted to know what she does, she could say that I am a designer, an artist with a background in social work and very interested in human interaction and working on projects that are socially just or social justice. So she can make it very clean in one sentence, really. She can say, my background is in social work, but right now I'm doing art and design, and my focus is on bringing social work into doing work for humans through my design and art. It really brings it all together. I had a student working on the resumes the other day, and it was really interesting. She had in the resume, she said, for the work she had done, she had two completely different things. One was things that she had written, how she went to Washington, D.C., and she's working for, I don't know, the Senate and a lot of things with political campaigns as an intern. And then the money-making jobs that she had held were all happening, like I was at Equinox, I was a manager, I was doing sports, everything is sports related. And one of the students said that, well, I don't know, you got to pick one or two, the other one, because these are very different from each other. And I'm thinking, I said, Kelly, your work is so interesting because obviously you have a passion for politics and you have a passion for sports. So maybe you can go and work in a political campaign as a graphic designer because right now you're taking a graphic design program. Or maybe you can go do graphic design and work for a sports entity. And if you want to do any of these, why don't you write a brand story about yourself and explain to them that this is where I'm at and this is what I'm doing. And I will take more time to explain how we do this, but right now I'm just going through these examples to explain to you what exists and what other people have done, so that you get some examples, real world examples. And if you look at the work of Grace in here, you see that even the tone of her work is really very, very much in tune in what photography she's choosing, in what illustrations she's doing. I think she also does some pottery, but everything she does is, has that tone of voice that goes back to her sensitivities in art and design and for people and their well-being. This is another student. His name is Chris Bicknell. He says, my name is Chris Bicknell. I'm a theater kid, slowly growing up to be a graphic designer. I started out doing posters for friends' shows in college and have jumped at every opportunity to learn new things and design cool stuff ever since. I love design that communicates a lot of information in a small amount of space. So this is very well done. Even her space, even the photograph he is showing of himself shows you that he's an authentic guy, or I mean, who wears a vest these days? And he wears it so nicely. He wears it with such agency. And the pink, the pink, the color of the wall behind him, the way he's looking forward to the future, all of this is adding to the tone of his brand story. And yet, if he wants to be in an elevator talking to somebody, then he will say, I am a graphic designer with a theater background who is, what is it? Jumped every operative. I'm a self-made, I'm a self-made graphic designer with a theater background and love to design, I love to design communications that are simple but effective. That's what he would say about himself. And the other thing to notice is that he's telling you that, you know what, I'm a novice in this thing, but I'm really good at something else. So that's going to compensate for this. And he's not ashamed of saying that I just started graphic design. In fact, he says that, you know what, I'm so good at that thing. And I think this one will actually make me even better. I mean, they say that you have to have 10,000 hours of, you do. And I really thought about that last week. I was listening to this thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to put the math together. I'm like, 10 more years for me to be a, filmmaker. But the reality of it is that because I have 30 years of some whole bunch of other things, including teaching and design and production and or maybe I also lived in another country with a completely different language for another 20 years of all my childhood and all that. Some of those are shared skills. So maybe I don't need 10,000, to make it. Maybe it breaks it in half or even more. And I can bring in my background in visual arts, or as I'm bringing my background in film now into teaching things about design. So I think you should always have that confidence of understanding where you're at and also understanding where you're not at and how much do you need to work on it. Sometimes you need to be upfront and tell people, hey, I'm new in this, but I can compensate with that. Or sometimes you don't even tell them. You just sit and you make two more portfolio pieces and you move on and you say, I'm just this. And then it becomes a simple one because you've solved the problem for yourself. This is another student who I think the tone of her voice, visually tells you something. It's very exciting and eclectic and let me see, how do I even get in here? Oh, here we go, enter the site. And she has her work, of course, of graphic design works, and all of them are solutions to different problems. So she doesn't have a specific style necessarily, but she says in her hello there, she says, hello there. And my name is Genesis. I'm a graphic designer from Spain and Venezuela, living in Los Angeles. If I had to describe myself in just one word, that would be empathetic. I like to genuinely understand others in order to figure out ways to help them. And I love applying this perspective in the design field too. I believe design is supposed to evoke a feeling of some kind, therefore empathy for the audience really helps when figuring out what kind of feeling. So she basically is writing an art statement in here, an artist statement, but if she was in an elevator, she would say that I am an international designer who loves cultures and people, and I think the empathy that I bring into my design projects will solve problems of any kind. This one is somebody who was, and now she's someone else. This is an Indian woman. This is what she tells you. First of all, look at her work. This is a professional woman, and she just has tons and tons and tons and tons of these illustrations, and they all have the same style. And you would think that all she did in her entire life is just these, illustrations and these animations. But if you go to the About section, you'll see that she will tell you in this one very short paragraph that yes, she is an illustrator right now, but guess what? She's Indian, so her parents forced her to study electrical engineering, like all these immigrant families, like my own, where you study something because you have an obligation, and then she went back to SVA, and then she studied design, and then she became art director for Martha Stewart, and then now she's doing this. She's saying it because you don't think that she is a neophyte, that she just started right now and she doesn't know anything. All she knows is illustration. She's telling you because she says, you know what, I'll take care of you. I'll solve any problem you have. And I'm doing these illustrations now. So she keeps it simple. She makes something that's very, very complex, and she takes something that's a shift of career and she makes it super simple for her audience. I think, I don't know if I really need to go over all of these. It's 11:20, so we have, maybe I'll go. I do have my own website that I was going to show you guys. Here I talk about, the visual story. I show pictures of my background in teaching and in film and in everything I do. I kind of bring it together. I have a sentence in here that says, I'm a brand designer, ethnographic filmmaker, and educator with a passion to help project the authentic voices of people I work with. And then I explain it in a little bit more in here. But then in my film, I present myself as someone that you can actually do promotional films with me. And I have done these films, like you could go in here and see. In design, I show them my designs and I say that, oh, I can do any kind of design project because I have these backgrounds in ethnography, graphic design, anthropology, and so forth. And then these are my designs. And then I go into courses and I say, hey, you know, I do portfolio workshops, I do this and this. But each one of them puts the spin on it from where I meet the person who's looking at this page because of you know, this is photography, then I do experimental. And it took me a while to figure out how to compartmentalize it because, you know, my job is in design, my practice is in film. I also bring illustration and making stuff into the films, but it's not to the level that I can call myself that. So I put that in the experimental, and so people know that, oh, okay, she makes dolls, or oh, okay, she does this typography stuff, or I don't know, she makes these fences or works with, I don't know, animation or whatever. So I think um, you know, it's important that you sort of see who your audience really is. um, I had last year a website that I wasn't even thinking of an audience. It was just about my work. And then I'm like, what's the point of it? Then I made it into this. And I think I'm gonna change it again as soon as I do the personal story, or maybe the films get to another level, or maybe I start doing more art that's related to the films, and maybe I'll just call it some personal story. Get, you know, to right now I say it's about the visual story. I may just say it's about the personal story because all the films have been about personal stories. This is a student who inspired me at Northridge. She's an artist, a painter, and she calls herself narrative expressionist painter and nature artist. But then she redefines herself down here in this one paragraph. It's just so beautiful how she says, I'm an LA native. I have had an active art practice since 91. Over the years, my work has been seen as expressionism, social realism, historical painting, political art, surreal, decorative, and more. The title doesn't matter. So this is her brand story in here. She says, it is about being authentic. Take your time. This is a looking for Waldo experience. So this is her brand story. It says, I am a narrative painter of people, life, and now birds. That's it. That's her thing. But she, you know, she can enhance it a little bit in depending on if she's in an elevator, if she's in a website, if she's in an email. What do I want from someone? Again, do I want a gallery show? Do I want to sell it? What do I want? This is Marianne Banges, is a famous graphic designer who became a graphic artist because she sold her practice and then she started making these really intricate, crazy stuff that are so detailed. Doesn't matter if she draws them, if she uses geometric shapes, if she uses pasta to put it together, if she uses sugar or Play-Doh. This is what she does. And it says Marianne Banges is a designer, typographer, writer, and illustrator working internationally from her base on Smile Island, blah, 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 in Canada. I would say her brand story is that she's the queen of everything detailed and obsessively detailed patterns in all different ways of art. That's how I would call her. And these are other people that I was inspired by. One is Margina Satrapi. She's Iranian French, and she wrote the Persepolis books, which are comic books. So they are visual and they are verbal, and that's who she is. And in Wikipedia, because she doesn't even have a website anymore, she's everywhere. It says her best known works include blah, blah, blah. It says she's graphic novelist, cartoonist, illustrator, film editor, children's book author. And I think she wasn't all of those. She was just a graphic novelist in the beginning. And then she added cartoonist because they asked her to make a video, a film, a feature film. And then she became an illustrator, and now she calls herself a film director because she's all of these. And it's okay to be all of them. But it depends on who's your audience and why you're telling them this. This is a Wikipedia, so it tells her life story. This guy is Eddie Opara. He is a partner at Pentagram. He's a graphic designer. And if you read, this is his biography, but if you read here in this second paragraph, that's his brand story. It says Opara is a multifaceted designer whose work encompasses strategy, design, and technology. That's his thing, because there's all these partners in Pentagram all over the world. Each one of them brings their own portfolio. But what's so special about him is that he works with strategy, design, and technology. And if you want to know more about it, he says his projects have included design of brand identity, publication, packaging, environments, exhibitions, blah, blah. Or if you want, you can say, well, his clients include Lululemon, OPPO, Samsung, MoMA, San Francisco MoMA, blah, 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 blah. So these are his works. Then you can go and see what else, he does. And I'm going to end it with Milton Glaser, who was an American graphic designer. His designs include I Love New York logo. Everybody saw that. The psychedelic Bob Dylan poster. He died last year. He was in his 90s. And the logos for DC Comics. And he also designed the film title for Mad Men. The one that Don Draper falls off, from the building. He did that. So he did all these things, and he always said, like, you know what, I'm always discovering something new. And if I do the same thing and I become an expert in it, then I become boring. So there's no shame in that. If you're creative, learn everything about Milton Glaser. Let's now go back to our presentation. So let me move this out of the way for a moment. Okay. So here was our examples. I'm going to go full screen again. And do you guys have any comments or questions so far? Okay. So now I want you guys to have some strategies and exercise on how to go about writing your brand story. You have an idea now because you saw the examples. But basically, there's three things I want to talk about. I'm sure there's thousands of ways of writing a brand story, but the way I'm focusing on it is basically showing you this idea about your X factor and your Y factor. This element of contrast and the idea of storytelling. Those are three things that you can put together to be able to do your brainstorms first and then write your brand story. You may want to please take a screenshot of this one with the X factor questions, because you're going to be answering these for yourself. Your professional roles and strengths is what the X factor is. Meaning, like, what are the strengths that others see in me professionally? Or it could be personally. But let's start with the professional, and then we can also do another whole thing for personal. What roles do I fulfill during teamwork? What skills do I use when faced with stress? What was my most successful project and why? and what was my most important team role and why. And coming to the why factor, there's all of these qualities like, yeah, personal values, your outlook to life, like what's the fire in your belly, what makes you move. Do you care about accessibility? Do you care about accomplishment? Do you want to be famous? Do you want to be relaxed? Do you want to hang out at the beach? Do you want to have fun? Are you about sense of humor? Are you about being fair? Do you care about justice or social justice, or do you have to be a winner? So whoever you are and whatever is important to you, uh, it's not like it's bad or it's good. It is who you are, and it's perfectly fine. You have to actually acknowledge that that's who you are, and the way you do that is basically you can go ahead and cross off the ones you don't want, or maybe circle around the ones that you do want, and then maybe choose the most important five of them, and then see where it takes you. The other day, my mom was saying about this woman. She's a cousin who almost married this guy who was really rich, and it didn't work out. And then my mom said to her, "Oh, you have to be yourself." And then now she keeps going for these, rich guys. And then my mom keeps saying like, "Oh, she has to be herself." I'm like, "Mom, she wants to go for rich guys. That's who she is. What's your problem with that? That's what she likes. That's okay. That's what she wants, and that's okay. We're not here to judge people or to say, put a, I don't know, be like what's right and what's wrong. It's just what life is all about. For whatever reason, people are looking for what they're looking, and you got to be honest with yourself and what drives you, and then that's the direction you're going to go, and that's perfectly fine. So for me, I did this exercise for myself. So I went to and this is, by the way, if you want to know how I made this lecture, is first I started to do it linear. It doesn't work. Just go to the fridge all the time. Doesn't work for me. So I had to take this big, this large notepad, this newsprint pad. I love these newsprint pads that you do the drawings on them, and just write it. It's like huge. This is a huge one that I actually took a picture, put it in here. So if you have a TV screen, you'll see that it could be really huge. And then I just can write. I have a field to express myself and to write everything on there. And I ask myself, what are my strengths? I have visual talent. I'm good with people. I'm a community connector. I'm a creative thinker. I'm intuitive. I'm a speaker. I have an X-ray vision. I'm flexible. I'm visionary. That's what I say. Maybe it's conceited to say that to people, but I'm just telling you. But the thing is, like, it's your strengths, right? So you got to brag. This is your brag sheet. You got to say all those amazing, your superpowers. You got to put that in. What is your team role? Mine is a director. I'm really bad with teams, honestly. If I'm part of it, I can't do it. I'm really not good at it. I'm trying. I'm trying. But if I'm as part of the team of the teachers at UCLA Extension, I'm good because then I'm in my own room. I have nothing to do with the other team. But uh, skills when you're stressed, I'm really bad at that. But how can I make that into like something good? So I say, I'm an out of the box thinker, which is true. I think okay, what can I do to deal with this, because this is really stressing me out. Most successful project and why. So I started writing some of these projects that were successful, very successful. Like Corbel Champagne was a big deal for me at the time. I mean, it was a painful project, but in retrospect, I put in my resume. Design production of major international brand with multitude of varietals and sizes. Between the Shells is the last film that I made. It was finished last year. Ethnographic documentary, visual storytelling of a life and time of cultural and historical artwork, official selection at 4 festivals. I have The Fifth Question, is an award-winning documentary that created an intergenerational conversation about Iranian Americans with their children and stuff like this. Most important team role, I think it was the Corbel, or maybe he was also working at Mattel. And then I have in here on this side my Y factor. And the ones that I started going with all these A ones: accessibility, accomplishment, accountability, accuracy. So I wrote these, and then I saw that some of them are overlaps and some of them are the same. Like for me, I think vision and independence are practically the same, for example. So you could choose five. So mine, the first one was independence, second one was flexibility, third one was fun, fourth is family, and the fifth one is recognition. And then I'm going to go to this pro tip, is that, well, questions.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put this in the chat. And just going back to that slide and that list of kind of, you know, adjectives or strengths, I just like to add in that, you know, if you're really struggling to think about what your strengths are, there are a couple of assessments that you can do. One is a Strengths Quest Strengths 2.0 Finder, and so you can ask your career counselor about those that test. You can purchase it for, I believe, $20 or $25 on Amazon, but there's a free version that's loosely based off the Strengths Quest, and it's high5test.com. And what I like about these is that it gives you a language and it helps you identify, you know, you don't have to stick to what your results are, but it can be a jumping off point and brainstorm for yourself what those strengths are. I can put those links in the chat for you if you like, but just putting that out there. So someone did have a question. What do you personally do when you implement strategies for creating brands? How is the brainstorm process?
I think if there's a brand, there's usually a client attached to it. So I would have a meeting with the client and really ask them to tell me about their brand, or even before that, I will go and research, you know, that business or what they're doing, to kind of have an understanding about where they're at and where they're coming from. And then I would keep having a conversation, asking questions. What do you have in mind? You know, what's your expectation? Who's your client base? What is the need that you are fulfilling for your clients? So I ask them these questions to identify the real problem. What is the, because the client may tell me a problem, but it's in a way I'm using user experience, you know, ways, or anthropology, ethnographic questioning, to ask people to find out what it is that the real problem is, the most, you know, important to, or to come up with hierarchy of what needs they have. And then I go back and I will look at that, and I write my own thoughts on it, or how I, sometimes when I'm talking to them, I doodle, I come up with an idea. Sometimes I have to go do more research, like for Serengeti tea, I had to go to the market and really look at all these tea varieties. I went to Rouse, I went to Whole Foods to see what type of you know, competition they have. I have to also understand, you know, part of what larger story they are. And once I find that visual and verbal understanding of the research, then I will start sketching out. And, or maybe before I sketch out, sometimes I just write a lot of words. And then based on those words, I ask myself if, you know, if this word is tangible, like graceful. What is graceful? Or when it means soft. What is soft? What's soft? Well, clouds could be soft. What else could be soft? You know. So I'll find actual words that are nouns that I can attach to it, and those nouns can start becoming visual metaphors. And then from there, I start making, logos or trying to look for typefaces that can have a font that would describe the tone of this brand. And then from there, I scan my sketches and then I copy them in the computer, because otherwise it's really hard for me to look and recreate what I made. There's something special about that connection from the head to the hand, to the pen, to the paper, that is hard to get with a mouse onto the computer. Sometimes people do with the stylus on a digital Padlet, a pad. Now I say Padlet, digital pad. So does that answer your question? And Jessica, thank you so much for the clarification. If you can please put those 2 suggestions in the chat box for the students, I think that would be really awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to check into it too. Thank you.
Yes, they answered the question. And yeah, I think that's the question for now. That's it.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad. So if I tell you that this I took from this book by Austin Kleon, it's called Show Your Work. I have the list of these resources on the end of the lecture. But the book is by Austin Kleon, and it says, "Pitches are stories with their ends chopped off." Pitches are stories with their ends chopped off. So if I show you a story, well, maybe we can get to this later. If I show you a story, what does it look like? You know, the Hollywood story, when you just have go like up and up and up and up and up, and then it goes down, and then it goes all the way up to the climax, and then either it falls down to be a tragedy, or it goes up, hopefully for us, to be a happy ending in this case of our career. I think you can also look at a story structure as a character is in a zone of comfort. They want something, right? We need something in here. They enter an unfamiliar situation, right? We're going to that new job or that new project that we want. And then you need to adapt to it, which means that you need to learn more information, then learn more information. Do you need to make 2 new portfolio pieces? Then do it. Do you need to learn more Photoshop? Then do it. Then get what they wanted and pay a heavy price for it and return to their familiar situation and having changed. But I think in terms of the visual story, you really want to ask questions about what are the acts in a story and how do we fulfill those. And I think if you can answer the questions here to a, this is like I'm bringing this from the filmmaking background. But if you can answer these questions, if you want to take a screenshot of this, Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, is basically Act 3 is the end of the film. But in this case, we chop it off because we don't want to tell them. We want the person who wants to hire us or who wants to buy our stuff to actually go ahead and, help us get there. We want them to become on our team. We want to make a relationship with this person through the brand story that we're telling. So if I say, where you have been, where have you been? What do you want? How did you come to want it? What you've done so far to get it? And then where are you now in your work and how you've used up all of your resources? And then it says, how is this person going to help you get there? And for that, I'm going to show you again my brainstorm. And I decided to this time to say, this is, I'll do this in terms of me as a teacher, finding new experimental doll making workshops. If I wanted to do that, this has been in my mind, and I talk about it, but I don't have a brand story. So I thought, let me experiment with this. So here's the questions. where have you been? And I said in here, well, I've designed branding for international companies. I taught for universities, and I made independent films. So that's my history, my background that will benefit me in telling some people that I want to do these workshops. What do you want? Well, I want to create new experimental workshops to help bring the creative voice of students and all this. Okay, how are you going to go about it? And I said, I always, what did I say? Well, always interested in art, painted as a child. I made crafts. I made clothes for my Barbies. I worked at Mattel with Barbies. I'm a self-made creative visual storyteller, blah, 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 blah. And these are my bullet points: handmade books, typography, doll making, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, okay, oops, that's the problem. When you okay, now we can do this. All right. So then it's like, okay, where are you now in your work? Oh, it says, I have some experimental workshops that I've done. And how have you used all of your resources for this? And I say, um, I've been an award-winning teacher, or I've taken 53 classes at UCL Extension. And then it says, how is this person going to help you get there? Then it depends on who my audience is and how they're going to get me. Is there going to be funding from a place? Are there going to be students? Is it going to be another class from UCLA? These are going to be things that I'm going to be looking at. But then I thought, what if I wanted to get clients for my illustration or projects? And then when I started to answer it, it was so difficult for me, because I realized that the teaching, because I'm in it and I'm doing it, it's my language that I'm speaking right now. It's easy to come to me. But the illustration, yes, I've done some for that film, or yes, but I've never really done illustration. I've done packaging clients, but I didn't do that. So I have that language, but I kind of have to warm up to it. And I have to make more pieces. And everything in here that you see is green. It means things that I don't have. Animations for my new film, short story animations. This is stuff I need to learn. It's only one thing, but it's a big thing. So I'm not going to go after these clients yet, because I feel like I can do much better if I had taken the time to, learn this. But in here too, things that I don't have. I don't have digital and tactile designs or for film or oh no, this is not this stuff. Oh no, well, never mind. I guess I didn't do it in that one. So this is how I would answer those questions, and to kind of see where's my discomfort zone. And because talking about stuff is easy and telling people, but if you sit down and you really brainstorm and you colorize it to kind of see, okay, here's my client project category, here's my galleries or selling art category, here's my creative portfolio workshops category, here's my new teaching job category, here's my, and in each of those, for example, for the client project, I saw that I need new visuals. I need new visuals of icons. I did logos, but they're old. They're from the 90s. I need new stuff. So sometimes, you gotta kind of take a moment and work on the time management to understand, well, maybe 2 hours a day or 1 hour a day or 2 hours a weekend, I'll work on this thing so that I get to a point where I'm a little bit more comfortable. Because a lot of these things bring a lot of anxiety in us, but the way we get rid of the anxiety is to break it down into little tasks and to understand the components and what we're good at and what we need to add more and where we're at now. So that's the thing I wanted to say, to actually live in the present moment, is that you do look into your past to find clues into your future, but you have to stay focused on the present tense and own it. So instead of saying I was this and I was that and I was going and I want to be that, you can say I am this And hopefully the way you say it, the values you bring to them, the amazing things you've done, the other person will say, and you will be that because I am going to help you. I'm going to hire you to be that. I'm going to be on your side. I'm going to fund your film. I'm going to buy your, books, or I'm going to be your client for this book cover. Um, and And so, in that, this is something I discussed in the beginning, but I want to reiterate is that you think about the coolest thing you've ever done, and then you can build your brand story on that idea. Meaning, like, I do this is my skill, this is my X factor. Maybe I bring in a little bit from my Y factor, what I care about, and then this is what I've done about it. This is an award I got, or this is something that got printed, or one of the students in the other class was asking me. She said that I was in finance, and I am going to change to be a marketing social media professional. And how do I represent myself in that? And I would say, can you brainstorm and on your big sheet of paper say, what are all these things that I've done in finance? What are the skills that I have? What was the position that I was holding in finance? Did I have leadership? Did I have people working for me? Where are all those amazing strengths and those things that I've done? And then go to your future thing, which is the social media marketing. What part of it attracts me? What do I love about it? Where's my passion? That's where the Y factor kicks in. And what am I doing in there? What am I going to be doing? How much of it have I already done? Did I do something in this? Like, did I experiment, or did I maybe take a class, or maybe I have a mentor, or maybe I am part of a volunteer group, or whatever it is that you do to catch yourself up to this new level. And then see what are the common things between the two of them, or what are the complementary things between the two of them. And then put those juxtapositions together and make yourself a finance professional who is now doing marketing. And apparently it looks so cool, because guess what? If I know about like how the money runs, I can generate money this way, or I know how those people think, so I can go under their skin. Or you will have to look at it from far away and say, I have this, maybe I circle this, and I put the ones that go together that are maybe contrasts, or maybe they work well together, and then how do I tell this new story? And that becomes thinking about the coolest things you've done in finance, coolest things you've done in this new thing, and how do you bring it together, how do you marry it, how do you merge it?
Shirin, just letting you know we have 5 more minutes left to wrap up. And someone did have a question. They wanted to see if you can show them the 3 components of the exercise strategy, or the 3 components. Yes. The exercise, yeah. There you go. So take a screenshot. And again, the recording of this workshop will be shared on YouTube through the UCLA Career Center YouTube channel. But with that, yeah, Shirin, if you want to just
yes, I want to
wrap up these last 5 minutes.
I just want to wrap it up to say that I want to say that I have so many different ones that I wrote. I sat down last night and I wrote these. Like if I wanted to design position, if I wanted a creative project, if I wanted to have an exhibit, if I wanted to go to LinkedIn. I'm an interdisciplinary creative who teaches courses in the practice and history of graphic design and creates ethnographic documentaries. If I want to tell somebody, this is who I am, the who I am. But then if I wanted to get a specific teaching position, how do I present myself? If I needed a creative portfolio workshop, is even different from that. And that's it. That's it in terms of, you got to understand that there's so many facets to us as people, And that's what makes us so interesting and important to people who want to hire us or they want to give us a job or a project. And these are the resources. Also, if you want to take a screenshot, there's a book called Branding Yourself: How to Use Social Media to Invent or Reinvent Yourself. It's a big book, and it gives you everything. There's another one says Show Your Work 10 Ways to Share Your Creativity and Get Discovered. It's a very small book. You can read it in one day, but keep going back at it. There's Creative Pep Talk podcast by Andy J. And is an amazing one if you wanted to have any kind of creative anything in your career. And the personal brand workbook is where I got the X and Y factor for you, and those questions are all in there. I just want to say thank you for being here, and thank you for letting me share with you. And it's a privilege and honor to be working with UCLA Extension and with UCLA.
Thank you, Shirin, for that
Thank you, Rachel.
wonderful workshop. And with that, we hope that everyone has a great day and that you get to hopefully attend the other wonderful sessions for the Future of Work workshop, conference, actually. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.